Hello everybody. So it is May 30th, 2021. Um, I am just about to go on a quick run, and I understand that I'm kind of coming back from an archaic time yet again, right? Let me show you a bit of the scenery. So I'm still in my car and I'm about to go out. I just wanted to give a little bit of thoughts of what's going on recently. So, at least in the last year, it's a lot of things on my mind. It's kind of hard to get all out at once, and obviously, journaling is kind of a waste of time at this point. Um, so, I just wanted to say that if the audio is bad, excuse me, the um, the audio, the microphone that I have, my dad is borrowing it, who I haven't seen in about a year. So, just wanted to preface that before I move on. So basically, what's going on is there's a lot of crazy. This last 2020 was probably the worst. Had a lot of bad things to it, a lot of good things to it, and I know it's not January 1st, 2021, but I'm still going to talk about it nonetheless. 2020 was, I have to say, it was second to my worst year ever. The first worst years were the ones at Berkeley, at UC Berkeley, but it has to be come to second place in my whole life because you know I faced a lot of challenges that I'm still bearing the bad consequences of today, which is not a bad thing. I basically doing equivalent of what an entrepreneur is doing. An entrepreneur who's basically sacrificing everything for years to come, and it may not look like it, but obviously I'm not vlogging every day. I'm not. That's not my primary means to my primary mission. But I want to say that. So obviously I still have the structural engineering job, and I'm still doing pretty good in my life. The only thing though is that I've had to take a step back in terms of my value that I bring. My value. You could say value on many levels, but let's just say value for now. Because I've chosen to use COVID to put me in a better position. So right now I'm trying to pay off my entire mortgage, so that when I rent out my place, I'll be able to. How do I say it? There is not going to be any risk. There's going to be a risk of losses, but the losses won't be as bad that I can bear it for a certain amount of time and get it back later. I realized I wasn't in a position to do that before I rented it out, and so that was a big mistake that I made. And all I did was I bared the cost without really being in a position to get it back. So basically, renter wasn't paying, and I wasn't in a position, financial position, to do whatever I can to get it back. So I'm kind of decided that I'm just gonna basically take the $5,000 to $6,000 loss and just move on. I mean, there could be a time in my life where I can go back. It's just similar to, like, you work on these projects and there's just no time for it, and you just drop it, and you may revisit it. But I just wanted to get that off my chest for a little bit. So it sounds like I'm talking about a lot of things at once, but it's just because there's so much. I could spread this out into many videos, but I'm deciding to talk about it all at once. So there's that aspect, and the other thing is related to it is that basically I learned a lot about tenancy. I realized that tenancy is largely a function of there's a lot to it. Obviously, you could try to do whatever you can to try to get things together so that tenancy is optimized. But it's one thing or another. Now, it's like, do you want to spend your own time doing it, or do you have the money to put into it? So if you know that your place needs to get renovated, or you have to replace the lock, or you have to do something to your rental property, are you going to pay for it, or are you going to spend your own time to do it, or do you have connections? Or I would say connections are less reliable, but generally speaking, it's just like, do you have the value that you can put towards it? So basically, that's, whatever value I have to put it towards that in the short term, which short term in this case is years. It's like, it doesn't seem like short term, but it is short term. It's like probably 1 to 3 years is short term, but in terms of this thing, so obviously that's going on. The thing that brought up about me wanting to do this is there's so much that's in my head, and I was in San Francisco yesterday. So basically, I'm working remotely in Sacramento, and I'm living in the rental property. Don't tell anybody, but the thing, I just wanted to get a lot off my head, so that we can, so that I could just kind of flush it out, because it's been on my mind for a long time. And suddenly, going to San Francisco last night struck a nerve in terms of in terms of trying to get this out, because it seems to be in my head almost all the time. So I want to say that so the thing with the value is that I'm putting all this value into it, my own personal value, and what it's doing is it's making the property more valuable, increase the perceived value, not the actual value, but the perceived value, so that it's more marketable, and that it actually it will be a successful rental. The thing is, it's really hard to see, and I didn't see it before, but everything related to it is the factors related to it. There are factors that are quantifiable, you can measure, and you can manipulate. So it's not something that, it's like, well, it's not like something where it's like a horoscope where you think there's something that there's something related to you based off of some kind of time you were born or whatever. It's not like that, it's a more quantifiable thing. So for example, for example, like popcorn ceiling, right? It's got a certain material. A lot of people don't like it. It's although some people like it, but for the most part, you can claim that it's a bad thing, and that it would improve the property and thus improve tenancy if you simply remove it. And obviously you would want to texture it and paint it. But anyway, so that you can manipulate. It's and so there's many other things that you can manipulate to increase the to make it a better residence and to retain good tenants. So there's that aspect, but then there's also the aspect of risk. So if it's a risky area, like obviously it's risky, it is risky. So the fact that I'm basically paying my mortgage off 100% means that I could take that risk, and I can take the losses up until and spend whatever months I have to get back to get it running again. Like maybe if I had to take it to court or something, then I could take the losses. But again, I was not in a position to do that. Let's see. Yeah, I was thinking about a lot of things last night, and I wanted to talk about it. The only thing though is I was driving, and I just anyway. So this whole thing about putting value into it, right? It's basically been making me like effectively poor on a social level and every other aspect. So but the other thing too is, upon this realization about changing things, right? Making sure that now I understand how it works. It also made me realize that there's no reason to be around people or to invite people in your life that are not going to put a positive spin to anything. So if they're not going to support your mission, there's no freaking reason to keep them around or anything. If they don't support your mission, there's no reason to keep anything going with them, or maintain any relationship with them, or maintain any communication with them. So I kind of learned how that worked. So just about everybody I know was not complimentary to my mission in any way. At this point, and I don't care who you are as a motherfucker. I mean, if you come on my channel, for example, and you start making these comments and start saying this bullshit, I'd be like, fuck you, get the fuck out. I don't care if you call me a pussy for banning you. You're out. So I don't keep anyone around anymore. Like, it's my way or the highway in this case, because my mission, as far as I'm concerned, as an entrepreneur, is fucking important. It's the most important thing. I'd rather die than to fail in many ways. Now, obviously, I'll fail on a micro scale, but to fail the whole mission and just to say fuck, there's no other way, then I'd rather die. But the thing is, I'm all in for this thing, and I know some people are gonna say I'm in over my head related to it, but it's like I don't see anything but a positive future outcome for this at the end result, and that's the whole thing. Obviously, even in the Intelligent Investor, they will say, if you're going to invest and it's based off of principle, it doesn't fucking matter what anybody else thinks or says. You got to do you, and you got to be on your mission. You got to keep going, moving on. So I'm basically at this point where, obviously, I'm posting on YouTube, so I guess I care a little bit about what people think, but I'm at this point where I just want to keep going and just become successful with this. So right now I'm literally I'm super hyper focused on trying to make it work. Obviously, for work, I got to do whatever I have to do. So for work, I'm also, I cut everything off. Like, when it comes to this thing, I make sure that none of it applies while I'm working. I'm only focused on what I got to do for work. So, if I have to do a lateral design for a new residential home, or like a kitchen extension or some kind of remodel, then I'm going to put all my focus time into that, no matter how many hours I got to put into it, until it's, obviously until the task is done for that day or whatever, So everything is kind of intertwined. I still have a good relationship with my boss. I'm working from home, but it's allowed me to work on my own renovations. So I'm working on a wall. I'm basically redoing the whole entire, interior. Maybe I'm probably going to get to landscape at the end of it. But, it's not that hard, but it's not that easy either, because it takes a long time. Basically, every weekend I plan things out. I'm sitting at my desk, and I'm trying to, I'm basically like figuring something out and seeing, what do I need to purchase? How many things do I need at Home Depot? About how long will I be at Home Depot? By the way, the average time I spend at Home Depot now is probably about 2 hours when I go now. It's a long process. This is like a team. It should be a team effort, but I'm doing everything myself because of it was a bad plan. So my real estate advisor or broker, or whatever you want to call him, the whatever broker, whatever you want to call him, the one that helped me to assisted me in finding rental property. Everybody says he's really good, but to me at least, he treated me like a scumbag. So you could shove it up his ass as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, real estate agent, whatever. Yeah, real estate agent. But the thing is, on one hand, he could shove it up his ass, but on the other hand, I didn't have enough. See, everything is intertwined together. So I didn't have enough entrepreneurs in my life, or any, if you want to say that, successful entrepreneurs. I had tripreneurs, whatever they call it, entrepreneurs in my life. I didn't have entrepreneurs in my life. I had entrepreneurs in my life. So basically, what happened was, you know, I had these people in my life, and they would just tell me, "You should do it, man. You should do it," and stuff like that. And rather than actually trying to figure out what the realities were, and by the way, we probably did for a little bit, but rather than like getting somebody with actual experience to tell me how things are gonna be, I had people. I had even somebody with experience tell me I should just do this, and without considering anything. They were all leading me astray. They were all thinking that they knew exactly what was best for me and what was best for the thing to try, what I was trying to do. In reality, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Nobody knows. Okay, not even family members that I have know what they're talking about. So I'm basically alone with this. Now that's not a bad thing, but this is my point. It circles back to the idea that I don't want anybody in my life if they're not going to support my mission. So I'm out here just doing whatever I got to do to make this work, and I'm just saying fuck you all, because literally nobody's gonna tell you what to do. So you got to figure it out yourself. That's the whole idea, basically the definition of being an entrepreneur. Now what they were trying to get me to do was trying to sell this place and all that stuff. But really what they were trying to do was try to pacify my situation. Sure, if I sold this place, what would have happened is I would have purchased a $300,000 home, like $500,000 home, and then I would have been house poor for fucking 10 to 15 years complaining about my job. What kind of life is that? Fuck you. Hell no, I'm not gonna do that shit. Anyway, I just had to get that out there. So yeah, I mean, right now things are working out really well for me. I'm living with my girlfriend. Obviously, she's always on her toes because she knows how things work for me. So because of how everything has led up to this point. I mean, there's no, I can pull the trigger on anything. I don't have any fear when it comes to that. Now, obviously, there's certain things that I should need to try, like bungee jumping and all that stuff. But in terms of forwarding myself, I have no fear when it comes to that. I'll pull the trigger if everything is in the right direction. I'll fucking pull the trigger. There's no hesitation. Anyway, I know I'm using a lot of bad language, and I apologize for that, for the YouTube algorithm. There's no apologies from the sense that I regret it, but just apologies from the sense that maybe you might want to see more of my channel. And I just, to be honest, I just haven't been able to I just haven't been able to spend the time to get the YouTube thing going. And the thing is, to be honest, I like all these YouTubers: Kevin Samuels, Anton Daniels, even Fresh and Fit, Aaron Clary. And I know they could look at me and say, "You're a fat motherfucker, you gotta lose weight." And I understand that. I'm not tearing them down for that. I'm not saying that that's not true. But see, at the end of the day, what am I saying? At the end of the day, I don't care about money from YouTube. Like, literally, I just don't. I kind of have an idea of what to do, but it's just the thing that matters to me is to actually become wealthy. Like, what do you got to do about that? Like, for me, it's really simple. Like, given what I want to do, given everything, I'm in the perfect direction. The only reason why I'm recording is because of recent thoughts I've had. So, and it's just been on my mind so much. And honestly, I've gotten to a point, because I put all this value into this venture. I've become, basically, you could say I went from being red pilled to black pilled, because basically there's nothing for me. Like literally, I'm putting so much value into this. There's no point at which I can go on a Friday night and try to go talk up a lot of girls and be red pilled and all this stuff, and like take risks and all the time. In fact, I'm doing the opposite. I'm not taking risks anymore. I'm doing exactly what will provide certainty. That's what I'm doing right now, because I know that's what's going to get me success, because I know exactly what I need to do. It's really amazing when you know exactly what you need to do. But the consequence is I need to put more value into it. So whatever it is. So you could say that right now I'm effectively worth outside of what I'm doing, effectively worth like $20,000 a year. It's not very much. But let me tell you something. This is going to work. I'm very confident this is going to work out because, for example, I just got a $6,500 tax return. I didn't even think that the tax system wants you to be a high value man. You know, the tax, it's weird. The code says that you're allowed to deduct from your normal income up to $150,000. 100,000, but then it adjusts up to $150,000. And so, you know, which is the range of a high value man. So it's crazy. It's so weird how things work. You could use the tax system to your advantage very well. And so, especially if it's an actual business. So basically the IRS looks at rental property as a business. They won't, you know, maybe they'll question your systems, but to which you do file your taxes. But it's a very good financial system, and in general, rental property should be successful. So the thing is, it should work. I mean, if it does, you know, it's like one of those things where you know, it doesn't make sense why it wouldn't work if you put in the work yourself. I mean, it doesn't. So yeah, I'm kind of in that position. But if you think about it, I'm in an optimal position because I could pay this mortgage off. It's going to be done in about 3 years. I'll still be, or maybe I think it's about 2.5 years. I'll still barely be 30. That's amazing. It's an amazing accomplishment because by that point I'll be making definitely $100,000 a year, but probably more than that. But most importantly, that'd be like 25% of my actual income. Passive income would be 25% of my total income, or somewhere around there. That would be crazy. Like, if you think about it, passive income is, as far as I'm concerned, is more valuable than active income because it allows you to shift and spend time towards things that will allow you to exponentially increase your income. Like, you can sit down there and say, okay, well, what do I got to do to, you know, you can say, okay, I want to take a vacation, and then use your passive income solely to focus on yourself and to do what you got to do as long as you're a minimalist, and stuff like that. So yeah, anyway, so yeah, I mean, that would be a huge accomplishment. Rather than, I'm not trying to, and I don't care if my boss is looking at me, but I am not trying to increase my active income because I know that you have to keep working for it. And if you have to keep working for it, then you're always going to depend on it unless you have a lot saved. And then if you have a lot saved, you don't have anything earning you money. And on top of that, you have nothing that can appreciate with that. There's no potential to allow the economies of whatever you're involved in to increase with it. It's just really bad. It's a poor system, very poor system, and you have to work your butt off to get there, to get promoted. So it's like, to me, it's like, do passive income. And if you're a structural engineer or you work in construction, the potential, or even architecture, the potential to flip properties and to earn passive income from it is very, I think you have an edge. There's a lot, like when I'm going through the properties on my strip,